Hello and welcome to the Corona Yoga Challenge. Today is day 176. And ouch! What's that? 20,000 more in the past 5 days. So yeah, watch this space. We are going to come into all fours to start with. Oh, and do check my website for safety precautions, ways to adapt, and subscribe if you like. If you want to bring yourself into all fours, a nice comfortable position, a little bit of space between the hands, between the knees. And then from here you're going to slide your hips forwards and back. So we're going to come up and into dog pose. So we're just going to start with this nice easy kind of warming up movement over the back. And then as the hips come back, at some point you're going to press into your hands, lift up with your hips, stretch up with the heels, get a feeling of lightness into the tailbone and into the sacrum. And then gently sink down through the heels if you would like to. And then peel up with the heels, bring yourself onto your knees. And just rock back and forth a little bit. So just a nice smooth rocking back and forth. And then we're going to come back up into dog pose. So you're going to rock your weight into your hands, tuck the toes under as the hips come back, slide them all the way up so we get that feeling of length. And then from here you're going to take one leg and you're going to extend it up towards the ceiling a little bit. From here, draw your knee in towards your hands, draw it all the way up towards your hands, pop it down onto the ground and let your back leg come out. So we come into like a preparation for pigeon pose. Tuck the toes under, and we're going to come back into dog pose. So you're just going to take your foot onto the floor to let the hips come up. And then we're going to come to the opposite side. So opposite leg lifts up, we stretch out through the foot, and then knee comes forward between your hands, settle it onto the floor, let the back foot extend out and the shoulders move down and away. And then back to dog pose, so we're just going to put our feet back onto the floor. Get a little stretch out, so a little lift up through the tailbone. Nice soft and wide across the shoulders and the back of the head. And then we're going to come to your first side again. So the leg's going to lift up. You're going to bring your foot forward, or your knee forward. This time, in fact, if I do it with this opposite leg, bring your foot across your body if it feels comfortable. So it comes out to the other side. And back leg can extend away. Make sure the back of the pelvis, so you don't rock into the bent leg side. Stay nice and even over the both and you get a lovely stretch out. Toes tuck under at the back. And then this bent in leg, the foot's going to extend up towards the ceiling as we go back. So back to where we came from. So toes nice and strong on the floor at the back. Back leg or bent leg extends up, back and into dog pose, and let's just come into resting for a moment. So let your head come onto the floor, let your shoulders relax, let your body get really restful and easy for a moment. And then we're going to come to do your second side. So we're going to do that same thing of having the option of coming into pigeon pose. And do stay with the first version if you want to, remembering there's absolutely no stretch around the whole of the knee joint, it's in the hip and the thigh. So from all fours, slide your hips back and up to dog pose. Second side, leg lifts up, extends up. Knee comes up and forwards between your hands, and your foot's going to come across your body. If it feels good, gently extend that back leg back. Toes will probably come or lengthen out. And sit yourself into the bent side so that we get a really good stretch out through the outside of the hip. Tuck your toes under at the back, and then this bent in foot's going to extend up. So down through the hands, up through the foot, back to dog pose. And then knees come down and rest into child's pose. And as you rest, think about the elbows widening, the shoulders widening, hands getting heavy, the back of the rib cage widening towards the floors on either side, and the lower back relaxing and widening as well. And then we're going to come up and into standing forward bend. So we're going to walk our Feet in towards our hands. We're going to soften through the knees. We're going to allow ourselves to fold forwards with really soft legs. And then we're going to take our hands wide. We're going to press into the floor, extend up with the hands all the way up and over. And then hands come down to your heart. And as the hands come into your heart, just soften with the shoulders. So we're going to come into a version of Warrior 3 from here. So you're going to take a step forward, nice big step forward with one foot, so you can let that front knee start to bend. Back heel is going to start to lift up. You're going to take your hands up and slightly forwards. And then you're just going to imagine somebody's taken hold of your hands. They're just gently drawing your hands forwards. And that back leg can lift up. And you can think about extending out a little. Front leg is going to bend. Hands come up and over head and out and down. And back to just even standing. So just nice and settled. Opposite leg's going to step back. So nice big step. Start with the foot coming down onto the ground, so feel really well grounded and settled. Then let that back heel lift so we get a feeling of lightness or more lightness through the back leg. Hands come up and forwards. Spread down through the front foot so you feel nice and settled, and then just lift your hands up and forwards and just see where you want to come to. And then back foot finds the floor, hands come up and overhead again, and back to standing. So back to settled and even feet. Take a breath into the back of the body, so we get that feeling of almost sliding our way into the heels a touch, which gives you that nice feeling of lift up and underneath the diaphragm, and the shoulders stay relaxed and down. We're going to come to do a twist now. So if you want to bring yourself to sitting, do take a block if you would like to. I think I've gone a little bit extreme on my angle there. That's better. So from a position with the legs straight out in front, this is where you might want to take a block, because we're going to work with the legs more or less straight if it's comfortable. So do take a block underneath your hips if that feels better for you. And it could be that you use books, it could be that you use just whatever comes to hand. So thinking about lengthening through the front of the thighs and lengthening through the back of the knees, but only as much as your lower back is really, really happy with. So if you find this sort of thing happening, do you see my pelvis has started to tip back and my tummy has started to draw back? Then that's just a nice simple indication that we really need the hips to be higher off the floor. If you don't have a block, then just bend your knees the way we usually do. So from here, you're going to take your hand onto the back of the pelvis, so onto the centre of the lower back. You're going to have one hand that's going to come across your knees, and you're going to extend out and round towards the back hand. You're going to bring yourself to the centre, and we're going to swap over, so opposite hands. So make sure the hand that's on your back, that you get a really nice feeling of contact. It's not kind of like floating. It's real like this is where my spine starts. This is where I want to stay steady, and this is, the movement isn't in your hands, but this is connected to the whole movement. So bringing yourself out and round. You're going to bring yourself back to the centre. You're going to come to your first side again. Now, can you imagine that the movement of the sacrum, that there's a kind of downward rooting, kind of strong energy down through the hips? And then bring yourself round, keeping that feeling of strong downward energy. And then round to the centre. And then same to the other side. So instead of just the pelvis being kind of stable, think about the connection down through the pelvis to the floor. Bring yourself out and round. And then back to the centre. Knees are going to bend up. Fold yourself forwards over both legs so you're just nice and easy. And then if you bring yourself up to sitting, and if you come to a position where we can do a little bit of breathing, so somewhere where you're going to be comfortable. So we're just going to do some nice easy breathing. So breath in and breath out. Just following your pattern, so noticing what your pattern is of the in-breath and the out-breath. And remembering it's almost like a kind of yin-yang symbol. We've got the in-breath and we've got the out-breath. We've got the in-breath, slower than this, and the out-breath. So see if you can, if you like, visually track round the circle as you inhale through one side and exhale through the other side. And see if you can make your circle more and more round. And then let your breathing just relax and become easy. Notice how it feels just now. So part of breathing practice is the actual bit where you're doing something slightly different from normal, and part of the breathing practice is just noticing, because noticing is the first step, really. So my challenge for you today, we had a nice plan that we're going to go and play tennis for my daughter's birthday, and it is blustery and rainy. We agreed yesterday, rainy, we were going to go for it, but it's now blustery and rainy. So my challenge today that I'm giving to you as well is to completely change your plans. Now, it doesn't have to be today. If you have beautiful plans and you really like them, then please don't change them. But when the opportunity comes to change your plans completely and with a sense of openness to what else might be possible, and possibly that new possible being better than the one you had made up in your mind initially. That's the challenge. That's a lifelong challenge. And my quote for you today is from Rilke. Perhaps all the dragons in our lives are princesses, who are only waiting to see us once beautiful and brave. Perhaps all the dragons of our lives are princesses, who are only waiting to see us once beautiful and brave. Hope you have a super day.